Hey guys, it's Yuta.
And I'm Winton.
And
Oh, sorry, I should go by Yuichi, huh? Because of the channel.
let's do this again.
Sorry, all right.
Let's do this again. Hey guys, I'm Yuta.
Sorry, could you do that again?
Hey guys, I'm Yuta.
And I'm Yuichi.
And are you like half Japanese, half American?
Yeah.
Okay. Because like, for some reason, people are just curious about half Japanese people. And so I decided to do some interview with him.
Right on.
So, tell me a little bit about your background.
So my father's American, my mother's Japanese, and I was born in New York, but by the time I was 1.5 years old, my family moved to Japan, to Yokosuka, Japan, and I was there until I was 20 years old. So for most of my life, I was in Japan. And then I ended up going to college in Southern California, and then up to San Francisco for grad school. And in America, I was there for a total of 15 years. And then I came back here to Japan just about a year ago.
So when you were in Japan, did you go to Japanese school?
No, I attended the secondary. I had my secondary education on the American Navy base in Yokosuka. So all of my education, even including university, has all been American.
Did you feel like you were kind of different from other Japanese kids?
Oh,
Did you
yes.
go to American school?
Absolutely.
How was your experience?
Well, so I did not live on the Navy base like most of the kids there. I lived off the base, so my neighbors were all Japanese in a small town. According to my mother at the time, my mother said that it was a relatively low-income, low-education area. So some of the discrimination that I dealt with was a little bit harsh for a kid. But it wasn't anything that was violent. But they made it really clear that I am not welcome in their group or accepted in their group. I don't remember this at all, and so it's not like kind of embedded deeply, so I'm scarred. But my mom said that I used to come back home almost every day crying because the kids would just, mistreat me or not include me or tease me. But at the same time, I wasn't the only one, because I had another neighbor, Japanese, full Japanese, but didn't attend the same school as the other girls, so therefore she was teased and pushed away. So that was kind of like that. Whereas I had some other Hafu friends that they had zero problems with their neighbors. But this is my experience and what I dealt with. I know that even now as an adult that I do get treated like I'm not Japanese, because most people in Japan, they don't really see me as remotely Asian, like I said previously. So they just assume that I'm not a foreigner. Even like at my workplace that I visited, the school, when I spoke in Japanese to some of these people that were expecting me to be, an American, not speak Japanese at all. And then I was just speaking full fluent Japanese, and he just flipped out. He's like, "Wow, this is crazy! I can't believe you're speaking Japanese so fluently." I'm like, "Well, yes, it's because I'm half Japanese and blah blah blah." And just like a few seconds into the conversation, he's still like blown away.
Do you have many Japanese friends who are not half Japanese?
I have a few. Partially it's just because of the line of work that I have been working in. I would say, but yeah, I say I have a few, but not too many. I would say a lot of them has been expats. A good portion of them all just happen to be half Japanese, but I think it's because this group they tend to be really positive. We just get along really well, genuinely get along. It's actually a group on Facebook that's called Hafu Japanese, and the people there just have been really genuine and super cool. So I've been clicking with them, but we all speak English with each other, and some of them can speak fluent Japanese, which I'm like, I mostly can speak fluent, but a lot has been lost since I was living in the States for 15 years.
Because sometimes, like, a lot of people think it's hard to make friends in Japan, and some people think it's because they don't speak Japanese fluently. But like, your position is quite interesting because Japanese people see you as more like a white person, but you speak fluent Japanese. So I think my question was like, do you think it's easy to make friends with Japanese people if you speak fluent Japanese, even if you don't quite look 100% Japanese?
Yeah, I would say there's like if you have a language barrier, I think anywhere you would tend to have a hard time connecting with people. So in that way, I would have the advantage of being able to connect with people right away. I don't think it's necessarily a reason why a foreigner or someone who may not have perfect Japanese not make Japanese friends. I think maybe it's just more so just like, if you may have chemistry with a person, or it just might be an area kind of thing, because let's say Tokyo, for example, Tokyo just tends to be very separate and it's hard to meet people and people go in and out a lot, and just the general culture is, more or less cold. You don't just go and hug people or even your friends, right? So I think because of that, like an area that's highly metropolitan like this is hard to connect with people. Now, I do have some American friends that have lived in more rural areas, and they've made some great connections with Japanese people despite their language abilities. Like, for example, I have a friend named Nicole. She's also half Japanese, but she was teaching in Shikoku, right? So it's as rural as you could get, really. But she would have conversations with the taxi driver, and you know what? She didn't grow up learning Japanese at all, so she knew very, very little. And yet the taxi driver always talked to her every single time he drove her around the Shikoku area. So yeah, I don't think it should be a limitation.
So this question refers to Canton Naka's video in question about like a waitress speaking to an Asian-looking person.
Yeah.
When you go out with friends who will look 100% Asian, so does it happen like sometimes the waitress or waiter, they keep talking to your more Asian-looking friends and they don't really acknowledge you? Does it happen?
Honestly, it hasn't really happened to me. And partially it's because I'm very outspoken, and I just immediately ask for the menu or ask for a drink right away, and that's never been a problem. So it hasn't really happened to me.
Some people have this image that Japan is very discriminatory. Maybe they might think it's quite racist or very xenophobic. What's your opinion about that?
Well, how much time do you have? Yeah, you're just going to hear my opinion on this and from my experience. So in America right now, as of recent, there has been many variations on the term racism or racist. You have terms like appropriation, microaggression, and such. Sure, there are certain degrees of that. I see the merit in it. But someone who did grow up with a lot of these racist kind of things, I don't think those kind of terms are necessarily applicable to those kind of, let's just use discrimination that happens in Japan. Mainly because racism comes from a place of hate. And there's people are like, well, what about microaggressions? But the thing is that even though I grew up with a lot of these things, like kids picking on me because I'm hafu, I could have been full Japanese with like a missing finger. They would still pick on me. It's that kind of thing. Kids, you always find something. But as far as an adult, seeing and experiencing some things, it doesn't come from hate. It just comes simply from ignorance in the purest form of that word. They just don't know. So they're going to ask ignorant questions, not because they're trying to be an idiot about it. They just don't know, and they're not used to it too. That's one thing. Like, just because you tell one person one thing doesn't mean that they're going to be like, oh, okay, I get it now. It takes a while, and then you have to consider the entire nation or entire city and then the entire nation. So I think that there's a lot of that to consider. So when you see those kind of discriminations in Japan as an outsider, you can't see it through your lens, even though those are the only lens you have. It's like, no, you have to understand the culture and where they're coming from.
So, do Japanese people speak English to you, and does it bother you?
it used to, and maybe sometimes, well, it used to, I should say. It doesn't really bother me anymore because, like I said, I try to understand where they're coming from. Because I'm like, I could speak Japanese just fine. It's like, 日本語普通話せますよ. And then, but still, once in a while, they'll like slip in an English word just because they know. But here's the thing, like, they're not coming from they're not trying to be condescending to me at all. They're just, it's like whether if they just want to use the little English that they know, or they're just doing it it's happening subconsciously. That they're like, oh, I see a non-Japanese or 100% Japanese person, so therefore they immediately kind of default to English words that they know without even thinking about it. But it's almost never from a point of being condescending, because that's the impression that, like, someone like me, as someone that's hafu, gets, is that I was like, oh, they're like, they don't think I know Japanese enough, they don't think I'm good enough, what the heck. The best attitude that I've seen is actually from this documentary called Hafu, the film, which I was actually involved in that film, but in that Hafu documentary, there's a character named David Yano, who's half Ghana and half Japanese, and he has one of the best positive attitudes, and if anyone would be upset at 100% Japanese people, it would be him, but not at all. Like, he's very patient, and he considers everything as an opportunity to educate, to inform people that, yes, I'm half Japanese, and he's like all black, half Ghana, but it's kind of like, yeah, but, this is my background, and people be like, oh, okay. He considers it all an opportunity, and that has, even to this day, has left an impression on me.
So Winton, thanks for sharing your story with us, and check out the channel as well. I put a link somewhere around here. Yeah, and see you guys later. Ciao, ciao.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Hey guys, it's Yuta again. But I think he has a great attitude when it comes to living in a place where people treat him differently because of his background, and I think we can all learn from him. And if you're interested in learning Japanese with me, because I can teach you real Japanese and not like anime Japanese or textbook Japanese, you should click the link, choose your level, and subscribe to my list, Japanese with Yuta. Also, you can have access to the entire uncut footage if you choose to support me, so click the link and go to my Patreon page. Alright, see you guys soon. Ciao ciao! You are...
Sounds like Andrea Bocelli. I don't know the words.
I don't even know what song this is.
It's from an opera.